No two risks can carry the same amount of weight. Meaning, if we talk about, let's pick one, weather. Weather is a massive one, right? So weather, we're going to call that, out of a scale from 1 to 9 or 1 to 10, we're going to call weather is a big 7. We'll use that as our baseline. Technology, in my opinion, at this moment is really big up there. That's an 8. Financial, the increase right now is massive and is affecting most things, right? So I'm going to use these 3, weather, technology. Now each of them you could break down the costs and each of those things within them, but we're going to talk right now of just these 3 for time. So here we go. The next part of that is what's the likelihood compared to the others that this will occur, and that's one of the reasons I did this. Now weather is pretty bad. Yep. Technology, I have a way of figuring out those problems. Financial, at this very second, is affecting us greatly. So we're going to go with that. Now you're weighing out those risks. So those risks, so if we were to do this, 7, if you were to look into here where 7 fits on this scale, that's pretty high. If you look at 1, 2, 3. So across the top is impact, the impact it'll have on your project and the possibility it'll have on your project. So weather, I probably should put more as a 5 instead of a 7. So that would fall in somewhere around here. It's medium high. It has a possibility that it could happen, but yes, it is a possibility. 8, technology. So you've got technology, which is an 8, so it falls in right about here, right? And financial, 9, probably one of the biggest monster of them all. So now what we're going to do next is now you've figured out what's the likelihood of them to happen, and you're going to go, all right, I need to then focus on, first and foremost, financial, second, technology, weather. Now remember, all of this would have broken down and you would have had them all blasted all over here. And then you're figuring out which ones you need to focus on the most. Make sense? Okay. Yeah? Right. Totally agree. Okay, management. What's the likelihood of impact, determining my response or our response, and the assigning of ownership. So we're going to assign, let's say, Jill is overseeing technology, or sorry, financial. So Jill is going to oversee that. Now, if it's just you have a small team and it's maybe you, well, you're it. You're going to have to oversee what you can do to answer to these financial problems. And you're going to come up with a row of answers or a list of answers that you think would help. And you're going to share that with your team and say, hey, if by chance the interest rates go up by 4%, it's not going to happen at 4%, but it's crazy how numbers are going right now. And what are we going to do with materials? Material costs are through the roof. So part of that would be exclusions that you read from your subcontractor that said after 30 days that price is no good, or within 30 days the increase of materials is going to cost you. So you need to have a buffer, which you need to then pass on to the owner. They need to understand that there could be an increase, and that owner needs to understand it could happen. It's that perfect example where a couple is building their dream home and they said, we'll build it for $500,000. I know that's cheap today, but you know what I mean. $500,000, and everyone has done everything right, and risk response has been said, hey, Jack and Jill, let's call them Jack and Jill. Please understand materials that are very, very volatile right now. You may have to cough up 15% more for your materials, or 20 or 30% over the length of this project. Please make sure you have that in your silo or bucket for material extras. And you got to make sure they do, because what happens if you're halfway through the project and the materials dry up and they don't have the money to finish? That project's going to sit still unless they've taken the risk off of your back and said, yep, you're right, I will make sure I have that money. It all plays its role. And the last part of this is retainage. When I say retainage, it means documenting everything that you've learned about this project. As you come to the end of a project, you retain what you've learned as every project prior to you. It's a very important thing to do as a contractor is to, I know most of you are like, oh, I'll remember that. Yeah, it's nice to remember. As you get older, we don't remember as much. Yeah, exactly. So you've got to make sure you retain all of those things. And then, lastly, periodic review. review, review, review. What are the responses to each of these? You came up with a response. We talked about a weather response with a container, right? Will that container work for a larger project? Will that container work for a smaller project? There's always has to be a review of discussion of what could or could not work, and then evaluate that and adjust it so for the next project you're ready to go. You have a list, you have a call to action, which is basically how I'm going to answer to that, which is part of the management. That's it in a nutshell. I don't know if a nutshell, but that's a pretty good overview of everything. So remember, risk analysis has 4 parts, and these are probably the most 4. Identify, analyze, manage, and retain. Say it again. Identify, analyze, manage, and retain. Those 4 are what you should take away from this, if nothing else. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below. Remember, risk analysis in construction. It's important.